Yo guys, this is Nada here, and this is the third time I have to do this because I keep forgetting to say my name at the beginning, but yeah, so today got knocked out of Summer Showdown due to hacks. So today wasn't a great day, but yeah, I'm still pretty happy because I have this amazing draft for the Hive Season 2. So it was surprising because originally I didn't really have much of a plan. I knew I wanted Mega Deoncy because it's a really good Mega. But then that's it. I had no other plan, no other mons to go with it at the time. Maybe Slowbro, because Slowbro, synergy-wise, resists the fire, helps good fighting type switching. But that's pretty general stuff. So I had no specific plan in mind during this draft until after I chose Mega Deoncy and Weavile. Then this draft kind of formed right here. And yeah, so I chose Mega Deoncy, as I just said. It's a really good Pokemon, great speed, great offensive typing. It's really perfect coverage, with Earth Power to hit the Steel types, Fairy and Rock hit everything else. So it's really strong offensively. Has some nice utility too, like Stealth Rock. It can also set up, which makes it pretty threatening. So I thought it was a great Pokemon. Not much needs to be said. You all know how these Pokemon work. These arrows represent the order of which they were drafted, just so you don't forget during the draft analysis. And I was in the middle. I was a 9th pick, so pretty much middle. And then, so after a while, it finally came back to me. And then, honestly, all that was left in Tier 1A, besides Weavile, was stuff like Bulu and Tyranitar, which are good Pokemon, don't get me wrong, but they don't go well with Deoncy. So I chose Weavile, which gives me my speed control, and offensively it gives me that strong dark type. It gives me ice coverage, which is really good. And so yeah, pretty good stuff. Of course, speed, dark typing, stuff you can't complain about, stuff that goes well with every team. So I knew it was a great addition, even though it wasn't what I was certain I was getting originally. And so third pick, Slowbro. I sniped some people with this. I sniped Daniel and Mayo. But Mayo's not. It's confusing. Mayo's basically not in Hive. He quit. But yeah, Slowbro gives me that fighting resist, which is crucial because Weavile. Slowbro covers a lot of Weavile's weaknesses, including fire, fighting, and steel, mostly. And it can also eat up other hits that Weavile's still weak to, like Rock, you know what I'm saying? Let's see what else. Weavile has so many weaknesses, dude. Why am I not thinking? I know Fairy, of course, but Fairy doesn't really. Slowbro is not a Fairy resist. Point is, Slowbro helps these two a lot. It was really the start of my defensive core. Of course, I knew I wanted Slowbro because it's a very, very good physical sponge. It's also, I consider it a pseudo ground resist. And because it can eat up earthquakes really well despite not resisting it, which really helps with Deoncy too, because it's weak to rock. And yeah, and then looking at it now, I really wanted an electric resist, of course, because some fast electric type like Tapu Koko, bam, GG. So I knew I needed something in mind. And now, of course, in every draft, a steel type is mandatory, no doubt. And a grass type I really like having anyway, just as like another water resist. Because if you have something like Slowbro as your water resist, it can't really hit opposing waters back very hard. Like, okay, it gets Grass Knot, but Grass Knot's not even a good move to fit on Slowbro. So my point is, like, I really wanted a good Steel type and a good Grass type, as opposed to just two separate crappy Pokemon, like, for example, Registeel and some random Grass type like Sarina. Because that's what last season I had Mega Steelix and Sarina. Really not good. And they're two separate Pokemon too, which means that they take up obviously more room on a team if you're to bring both of them. So that's why this time I chose Ferrothorn. Now Ferrothorn, of course, you gotta watch out for that HP fire, the fire weakness, of course, the fighting weakness, of course, from Focus Blast. But despite that, it's a really good wall. And you can even run the Aqua Berry for the fire moves anyway. And I really like Ferrothorn here. It synergizes with Slowbro really well. Slowbro takes care of its weaknesses. And Ferrothorn gives me the utility. Gives me the Stealth Rock, gives me the spikes. Deontay gave me Stealth Rock too. I mentioned that, but no one's going to use Deontay as a Stealth Rock. I mean, this thing's got power. You're going to want to use power on it, not Stealth Rock. That's Ferrothorn's job. Ferrothorn, Stealth Rock, Spikes, Leech, you name it. Ferrothorn's got it. And so yeah, basically wall with utility and secondary water resist, electric resist. So basically, gives me the resistances I need for my team. Fairy too, of course. Moving on, we have Landorus Incarnate. Now, at this point in the draft, this was when I started to not really follow the original mons I had planned, and so started choosing what looked good and what would have gone well with the Pokemon I've chosen. Now, a ground type, of course, is another mandatory typing, and I also wanted some more speed too, because of course, Weavile and Deontay, these are fast Pokemon, right? They're fast. 125 speed, really good. 110 speed, really good. But then I don't want it to drop dramatically in speed tiers, because I've had a habit of that occurring in the past, and it's really not fun to build with. So now, with Landorus Incarnate, it gives me a 101 speed, and that's good because, again, gives me the balance. No, it gives me speed tiers. So yeah, it gives me offensively, gives me a good wall breaker. Landorus, it's not something I would normally think of as a wall breaker right away, wall breakers, Landorus. No, I think of something more like Mamoswine, for example. But Landorus, it has a lot of power, and it has great coverage. And Edgequake, for example, that hits, no typing resists both Stone Edge and Earthquake, which Landorus has. Of course, there are some Pokemon like Claydolph, but, it's because of, ability, and, sometimes whatever. Point is, Landorus gives me a good wall breaker, gives me a good choice Scarfer, gives me a good setup mon with Calm Mind, what else, Swords Dance, Bulk Up. Yeah, but overall, I'm probably I drafted this thing for possible choice Scarf user and ground type. Moving on, we got Hitmonlee. So, at this point, from Landorus to Hitmonlee, I was planning on getting Emboar. Again, I've used Emboar before, but I thought Emboar would go well because it gives me another good wall breaker that's even better than Landorus, I'd argue, as a wall breaker. But then Techno took Emboar 2 turns before I was supposed to draft. And I was like, well, darn, right? I really wanted that. And I resorted to Hitmonlee, but Hitmonlee, I think having Hitmonlee made my draft better. Because Hitmonlee itself, compared to Emboar, of course it lacks the fire typing and it's a lot less power. But Hitmonlee gives me a rapid spinner. And at this point in the draft, I don't really have much opportunity to get a high tier spinner or defogger now because, well, I've already filled up my high tier mons and also they're taken by other people. So Hitmonlee gives me a rapid spinner, which is really nice to have, especially with the Ferrothorn, because Stealth Rock Spikes. Gives me a possible wall breaker with Choice Band or Life Orb. With Reckless, High Jump Kick, that's going to do damage. And it even gives me a late game cleaner with the Unburdened set. So I was really happy to have Hitmonlee, because that gives me a lot more options than I feel Emboar would have given me. Emboar would have given me more power, but Hitmonlee gives me Spin, Early Breaker, and late game cleaner. So moving on, we have Dragalge. I really like Dragalge on this team. It gives me another electric resist, and now at this point, I have Landorus and Ferrothorn, which both take on electric types as well in theory, but the hidden power makes it really difficult, because then you have to scout for it, shoot, are they going to have HP Ice? Oh, shoot, what if they have HP Fire? But then, Dragalge, regardless of what hidden power they have, can take them on well, because it has really high Spadef, too, so it can easily eat up those hidden powers. And then, this also gives me another fire resist, which is really nice, because Slowbro sometimes, may not have the best matchup versus, let's say, Houndoom, for example. Or another fire type that can hit Slowbro with super effective moves. But more importantly, I'd say Dragalge gives me the wall-breaking power that was missing when Emboar got sniped. Adaptability, Draco, and Sludge Wave, those are going to do damage, right? They're going to do damage. Now, of course, Steel types are a thing, and so, then you have to depend on Focus Blast, which I don't really like to do, because, especially on the choice spec set, where you have to, predict them to bring in the Steel type, then go for Focus Blast. I always think those situations are, really hard, and especially with Focus Blast low accuracy, very, very risky. But not to worry, I have some good Steel type checks, such as Slowbro, excuse me, I was kind of stuttering. But Slowbro, Landorus, I, and you'll see later on we got some more. Dragalge also gives me T-Spikes, which I love having I love having a T-Spikes user on every draft. I think they're really good when the opponent doesn't have sufficient hazard control, or when their hazard control has to take the T-Spikes first. Like, let's say your opponent has a Decidueye, for example. Then they have to be on the ground, defog it, but then they're still poisoned. So what I'm saying is that no matter what, you get some good T-Spikes. I think help you a lot in those situations, for sure. And now, I've drafted Togetic before, and it's a pretty crappy one. It's super passive. I don't like defoggers that are weak to rock, but that's the thing. I like defoggers. Defoggers, you know, of course, they get rid of rocks when maybe there's like spike spam, so, you know, rapid spin won't be too useful. And I'm talking about defoggers that are immune to ground, like flying types, not like the Decidueye. Sorry. What I mean is, like, Togetic also gives me another good ground immunity. Because while Landorus is immune to ground, I don't think it's a reliable switch-in, because you're not going to switch it into something like Crocodile and then take like a ton from knockoff. Of course, that's not the best example because Togetic loses its Eviolite, but I'd still argue even without its Eviolite, Togetic's a better mon to switch in on Crocodile or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think Togetic, because of its bulk, makes it a much better ground type switch in than Landorus. And the defog, I like having more hazard control than just Hitmonlee, especially when the opponent has T-Spikes, because like I mentioned, you know, when your hazard control is on the ground, T-Spikes are still really good versus you. But Togetic's immune to that, so, you know, helps me out a lot. Gives me, I guess, a defensive Fairy type. I really was not planning on getting a second Fairy type. That's why I really wanted Slowbro as a good fighting resist the whole time from the beginning. But, you know, Togetic was, you know, it was a surprise pick for myself. I was talking to my friends, I was like, do you guys think this is good? And then they were like, they said yes, to my surprise. I actually thought they would, like, hate on me, like, not hate, but, like, make fun of me for wanting to get Togetic. And, you know, offensively, it doesn't offer much. That's not what it's for. It's for defog, you know, defensive. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention. Gives me a great Dragon check, because looking at my team, we have Deontay and Ferrothorn as our Dragon answers. But the thing is, Ferrothorn has to watch out for the HP Fire that I mentioned already. You know, that's pretty risky, you know, depending on Ferrothorn for that. Because if you mispredict and lose Ferrothorn to an HP Fire, get it super weakened, you can possibly lose that Dragon type, like Latios. And Deontay, you know, you have to, if they get up a Dragon, if it's like, I'm not talking about Latios Dragon Dance, I'm just saying in general, like, let's say a Flygon Dragon Dances, then you have Deontay, and it's like, well, it's not going to outspeed. Mega Deontay can't run a Choice Scarf, so you lose to that. But Togetic, it has the bulk to take that on. So that's why I really wanted Togetic as my reliable Dragon answer. And so at this point in the draft, I was really happy with what things were turning out. Because earlier in the draft, when I chose Landorus, I was like, to my friend Azar, I was like, dude, I'm super screwed, man. Like, I don't think the bulk on this team is going to work out. But with Togetic, I think it has. But I'm not finished yet with bulk. You know, I always like to have 2 ground types. Not only because I generally do better when I do have 2 ground types on a draft, but then also, you know, having 1 offensive one and 1 defensive one, I feel like gives you a lot more opportunity than just having 1. And then, because, you know, most ground types are either defensive or offensive, not really in the middle. Like, for example, Landorus, I'd consider this to be an offensive ground type, of course. I don't think anyone can use it defensively, really. But it's something like Piloswine. You know, that thing has a lot of bulk, so I consider it to be, like, you know, a defensive ground type. You can use it offensively, of course, but my point is, like, having both gives you a lot more flexibility in team building, because you don't have to make one ground type have to take both, you know, the HP Ice Whelp, and then also, like, hit hard. You know, like, I don't need to run Yachi Berry to worry about HP Ice from Manectric when I have a Stunfisk on the team, which can easily take care of Manectric. And that long explanation is really why I like having 2 ground types, because it just gives your team more flexibility. Stunfisk also gives me a reliable flying resist, because, okay, flying resist besides Stunfisk, Mega Deontay, and anything that outspeeds that has steel type coverage, bam, Deontay's gone. So, not the greatest flying type check. I mean, slower flying types, easily Deontay takes care of them, but anything faster, Deontay is kind of screwed. Stunfisk, on the other hand, does not care about their speed. It eats up the hits. It also gives me another Stealth Rocker, which, paired with Ferrothorn, can let Ferrothorn run Spikes, and another move, instead of having to run both Spikes and Stealth Rock, which I don't think is good. Stunfisk is a really interesting Pokemon, dude. It gets Reflect type. I found that out today. I don't know if I'm going to use it in the future, but it's still pretty cool. It's still pretty cool. Up next, really the last important Pokemon, Chandelure. Like I said, I was originally going to pick Emboar, but then I said that getting Emboar sniped from me actually helped me more. Because at this point, I have two good special attackers, being Dragalge and Deontay could be mixed, but with Diamond Storm, but then sometimes you can run like a Calm Mind with Power Gem, for example. But then, in general, my special wall breaking is kind of lacking, especially compared to my number of good physical attackers like Weavile, Hitmonlee, Landorus. It can be mixed as well, but I think without Sheer Force, physical is better on Landorus because it's stronger that way. But besides the point, Chandelure gives me a great special wall breaker with its whopping 145 special attack. It gives me a great Choice Scarfer too, so I don't have to depend on Landorus or possibly Hitmonlee for Scarf. I can possibly use Chandelure, and Chandelure has a lot of utility as well. It gives you Taunt, Clear Smog, Haze. I'm not sure if it gets Haze. I know for a fact it gets Clear Smog. But yeah, Haze, Taunt, it even gets Pain Split, so does Stunfisk, but I don't consider Pain Split very reliable. And I know we're going out of order, but I forgot to mention, Togetic also gives me a Heal Bell user, which I think is always great to have one, because if you don't have one, your opponent can just spam T-Wave, 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 or Toxic, Will-O-Wisp, which is super annoying to deal with. Back to Chandelure. I really like it because it gives me a hard-hitting Pokemon. It gives me a Choice Scarfer, while also having some tricks up its sleeve. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to run 4 attacks every time. You can run, like I said, the mentioned Taunt, the Pain Split, Will-O-Wisp too, of course. So that's why I think Chandelure is a great addition to the team. Moving on, Mischievous, last Pokemon. Very weird pick, you might think. Like, wow, why would you choose a Mischievous? For one reason, to help me with ground types more. I know I've already mentioned having Togetic and Landorus for ground types, but it's just the fact that Togetic being weak to rock, I feel might make it really annoying. Especially... Okay, I'm gonna be honest. It's for Nidoking and Nidoqueen, alright? So I know I gave that away. Jake, if you're watching this, or person who has Nidoqueen, I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, Mischievous is to help me check them, so, just letting you know. I really think, to be honest, Mischievous has a lot of great utility, too. If let's say Chandelure is not that great, because maybe Rock, my team, maybe the other person has, good Stealth Rockers, which would make Chandelure hard to bring in. I can bring in Mischievous. Mischievous takes rocks damage normally, but has Levitate, so it's immune to all other hazards, which I think is pretty lit. Now, Mischievous, it is a crappy Pokemon. I mean, that's the real niche of it. To check ground types, Togetic and Landorus cannot, but that's seriously it, honestly. No other reason to get it. So this is the whole draft. My favorite draft in the CBA Hive leagues. Because, they're pretty much the same league. CBA was just rebranded into Hive. I consider it the same league, personally. I really love it. It has great offense, in my opinion, while having great defense, in my opinion. And I love Stunfisk. I love sniping people. I sniped iPro with the Stunfisk. I sniped Owen with the Hitmonlee. And, I'm pretty sure. I already mentioned I sniped people with Silver. Stuff like that. So, I love this team personally. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. I will check them out. I'll reply. I reply to people. I'm not like, that McCaddy person who he doesn't reply to me anymore, man. It's kind of unfortunate. I hope we're still cool, but, that's all for today. Bye-bye. Okay, so I'm back, and I just forgot to mention my Z-Move users. I feel a little embarrassed. But the Z-Move, the way picking Z-Moves works is really interesting in this league. You get 240 points. And then you get to choose as many Z-Move users as you can for those points. And you can choose status Z-Move users. They're going to cost you more, basically. Now for me, I had no good status Z-move users, so I chose all my Z-move users, all 3 of them, are attack Z-move users, which are Weavile, Landorus, and Dragalge. I just felt like these are the ones that benefit the most from Z-moves on my team, particularly Weavile and Dragalge. Landorus, I think Landorus is fine with like a choice meta, but then even then, Double Dance Landorus is still possible with Incarnate form, so Z-move will help that out. Weavile, Z-move, you've seen Weavile used as a Z-move user, I'm sure. It's pretty standard stuff, like maybe Acid Downpour, or Sub-Zero Slammer, or All-Out Plummeting, stuff like that. And Dragalge, because, let's say with a Steel type, I just mentioned it gets walled by Steel types. Well, not walled, it struggles versus Steel types. It doesn't get walled, because it has Focus Blast. So then you can run, like, Fighting MZ on it. But yeah, that's really all. Pretty quick. And, yeah, those are my Z-move users. Now, bye for real.